Okay, so things are getting spooky when it comes to Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. We have the recent trailer, Become a Master Trainer in Pokemon Let's Go, and there's some stat discrepancies that don't really make sense, and it's really hard to tell right now if it's because of candies and like a new Eevee or stat system, or it's just laziness in the way the Pokemon are being injected, and it's creating some weird things to happen. So let's go and check out what's going on. So we have the Ultimate Duel, but we do see the Pokemon's hit points. Venusaur, 75, has a 228, and then Charizard at 75 has a 225. So we see our Pokemon taking damage, getting hit right there, and it does line up. Charizard at level 75 with 31 IVs, 0 EVs, does have a 225, and Venusaur, 31 IVs, no EVs, 228. That makes sense. But then in some of the other trailers, we've been seeing Pokemon with weird IV spreads. So we have a level 50 Charizard going into the Mega Charizard trailer at 146 hit points. Now, 146 hit points, that isn't going to be 31 IVs, that's 153. So it wasn't brought in as like a completely neutral Pokemon with nothing, and it also wasn't brought in as a Pokemon with max IVs like we saw for some of the other trailers. Going into some of the other things that we've seen, we have this Pidgeot. This Pidgeot, level 45, has 129 hit points. This was just from like those random trailers where we're getting random Pokemon battles and stuff, but it was something worth looking into. However, that has 0 IVs. So this reminds me of something that we saw with Pokemon Sun and Moon. Like most of the Pokemon that were being used in Pokemon Sun and Moon trailers, they were represented with 0 IVs, 0 EVs, just a blank slate kind of Pokemon, and Pidgeot kind of looks to be the same. But then we get into some weirdness with this Eevee. So our partner Eevee has been confirmed to have buff stats, but we don't really know how buffed. Now, going off the Pikachu, it could also suggest that it's getting a buff to its hit points, but 128 EVs, or like 128 hit points at level 50 means that like there's some EVs, or there's some candy, or there's some weirdness going on, because 0 IVs is 115, 31 IVs is 130 for this level 50, or like, yeah, for this level 50 Eevee. So we're going to be a little over on that, which means it could just be like a natural Eevee or something, or it could be brought in with 0 IVs, but for some reason have EVs, or just get a weird stat buff. Now, if it gets a weird stat buff at 0 IVs, it's going to end up at like 68 base or something, and not really be at a nice even number. But then we get into some serious problems here really soon. So if we go over here and then we scroll down, we're going to see that on this page, this Charizard has a 320 at level 75 for the hit points. And it's on the official Pokemon Let's Go website, and it looks like it's the same scene that we've already seen coming from this trailer right here. So I don't understand why there's so much of a difference for this Charizard to have 320, which is just not achievable under any circumstance, and gets closer to like a level 100 Charizard or something like that. So 360, remove the IVs. But it's not like we had a weirdness with the level 100 Pokemon brought down to level 75 cosmetically, because even 0 IVs, 0 EVs, a 31, we can't find a special sauce that brings us to 320, so that's why I'm wondering, like, can we exceed the EV cap using candy? Is there like a candy limit instead of an EV limit in Pokemon Let's Go? Or is this, again, just like an error that doesn't really mean anything? But we've seen this before. Now that's where we also run into another problem, because this Pikachu right here, or one of the Pikachus that we've seen, doesn't really line up with some of the other Pokemon. So we've seen that you can use candy to make your Pokemon stronger. At level 60, 116 special attack, 188 speed, and then we can see that's 116 attack, 188 speed. It's roughly the same Pokemon. But in the Japanese trailer, it's different. So they're like using different Pokemon, but brought in different ways. Like, I don't know how they're setting this up for the trailer, because yeah, like, it's in a different language, so naturally the things are going to be different. But if they were all bringing in the Pokemon at just 0 IVs, or just 31 IVs, or trying to keep it consistent with what they're boosting, that would make a lot more sense. However, this Pikachu stats is different to this Pikachu stats. But that doesn't help. But then we get the ultimate mind blow. So we have a whole new way to go. And this is where we start getting into some shenanigans, because the level 50 Pikachu has a 209 special attack. So it's not like, oh, the website's just wrong because they, you know, they whip up something and they get a quick picture at the end, and that's why we have this Charizard at 320. But so we have the website being wrong, but the video being correct. But in this case, we have the website being correct, and then the video being wrong. So it's so backwards and doesn't make sense, and we already know that the Pokemon aren't being brought in consistently, so is this just a wackily trained Pikachu, much like we have a crazily trained Charizard that's overbuffed in one stat, because that's a possibility inside of Pokemon Let's Go. So if we go over and bring in the Pikachu, we can see that like this Pokemon stats at level 50 is somewhere around like a level 100 Pikachu, because we maxed out the EVs on a neutral special attacking nature. We're at 199. So we still don't even find a way of like maxing to the max of what we see in a level 50, and it makes me wonder if like the level is more a cosmetic thing, and because of how CP works, that maybe the EV values aren't skewed, because EVs, you get 63 points in a stat because you get one stat per 4 EVs. We can see that one candy gives you one stat point, and that's kind of been confirmed to be consistent at this point. So it's like, is a candy worth 4 EVs? Is the EV system being replaced entirely to a degree? Because we've also seen in battles that you power up your Pokemon through battles now with trainers, and you can gain like one stat point, maybe even multiple stat points by battling trainers. So it's not like you're getting EVs that eventually add up into a stat point, you're just getting whole stat points. So that makes me wonder if you can actually like, get the full amount of EVs and then get the full amount of point value from that, despite the Pokemon not being level 100. Because if we scale this down to level 50, like any Pokemon, we can see that the gain isn't going to be as big. We go from 70 to 102, so we get 32 max. And that's because effort values are roughly proportional to the Pokemon, so a Pokemon under level 100 is not going to be able to get the full 63 in a stat, which is also why when we're like playing around with this Eevee to try to make it make sense the trailer, it could have like a weird amount of EV investment, maybe paired with a little bit of stat buffing or some kind of weird IV spread. Same with any of the other Pokemon that kind of don't make sense, or just Pokemon training in general. Now that makes me wonder if this 252 at any level, or the effective candy gain, goes higher, and then that means that you can max out a Pokemon. So technically you could get like, say, the full 63 stat points on a level 20 Pokemon, which means the stats could be absolutely insane, but it kind of describes the Charizard and the Pikachu to a degree, because the Charizard's hit points, like remember, it can't max out at level 100 to under like 320, so like yeah, that's within the maximum possible range of a Charizard. The Pikachu is a little different, but it is our starter Pikachu, so I mean that might be something to note, because our starter Pikachu looks like it has around 70 or 80 in that special attack, which does change up the numbers. So let's see if I can like find a Pokemon that randomly has like a 70 stat or something. Oh, there we go, Gliscor. So special defense is going to be Pikachu's new special attack. So that means we have a 249 at max amount of effort values. So we can go pretty high over at level 100. So that does make me wonder how cosmetic the stats are. Like maybe the levels are there just to give you those base stat points, and then you can gain those extra stats based off of candies. Now if we are subtracting that, you know, we take this Pokemon at level 50, uninvested, maybe max IVs or something, and that's only at 95. So then, even with our full boosting, you know, it's 127, it doesn't even come close to that 209 that we end up seeing. So I wonder how many stats you can get from just levels, and how much those candies can make an impact, or maybe we can exceed the EV limit, therefore making the threshold for highest possible stat even higher. So maybe it is like, say, we still have to use EVs, but it also comes down to stat points and stuff. So based off of EVs, you can gain, what is it, 127 total stat points, which then translates out to 63, 63, 1, depending on what you're doing. That's why we see like 252, 252, 4. Now, what if it's possible to maybe extend that to like 280 or 300, but then that means your other ones are going to have to be brought down. So you have like 300 in a stat maximum, and then that means you don't get to max out the other stats. Like, that's the only thing that could maybe describe this to where we can exceed that cap, reach it before level 100, have the Pokemon's like maximum stat potential be possible within that range, or Occam's Razor could play into effect, and then none of this, like, it's just an error because of how the things are needed for the website. But like, if it was just at the Pokemon website, like if this was wrong and this was wrong, that would be cool. That would be all good. But it isn't. And then we have discrepancies between languages, and we have discrepancies between trailer versus website. So I'm not sure. And then we also don't really have any consistency between the EVs and IVs of Pokemon and what the new stats are for the new buffed starter Pokemon. It's madness. Either way, Hope you guys enjoyed that breakdown. Comment down below. Tell me what you think about it. Is it coincidence? Do you think they're actually massively playing around with stats? Maybe to... I don't even know, because like CP has already been confirmed to not do anything. It's not like CP changes all the stats and stuff, but I'm wondering how like other calculations and other stuff could. So there we go, guys. Hope you all enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.